started right now. So thanks guys for tuning in. This is Talented Tuesdays and I'm your host Kai Speaks, aka Mr. 215 to 305. Talented Tuesdays is brought to you by the GoldenKey Foundation, developing leaders one step at a time. As you can see, I'm in here dolo tonight. I know a lot of you guys are looking forward to our guest Rel, who's going to get on here and tell us a little bit about rap culture and, you know, his experiences being a young rapper. He freestyles and everything like that. But I have a story for you all. As you can see, like I said, I'm in here dolo. So I got a story for you all. Basically, long story short, Rel was having some traveling difficulties. He was unable to make it tonight. But so yeah, that leads to what we're talking about this episode. And that is basically behind the scenes and what it takes to constantly run a podcast or any type of show that you're doing weekly, whether it be Talented Tuesdays, whether it be Woke Wednesdays. I know you guys hear me talk about Woke Wednesdays a lot. Shout out to Herson and Woke Wednesdays, whether it be the Breakfast Club shows that you're very familiar with, that you might listen to every morning. It takes a lot. It's a lot that goes into production. It's a lot of planning, a lot of scheduling, a lot of time that is consumed of the individual that is really dedicated to this craft. So Rel, if you see this, just know, homie, it's all good. I appreciate you trying to come down here and make it, but you know, it's all good. I understand that things happen. But the show does have to go on, and that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about right now. So I just found this out maybe at it was like going on 5ish, and I'm with Herson. Like I said, again, shout out Herson. I'm with Herson. And we was trying to kill time because I just grabbed lunch when we went up to the Flanagan's in Doral just to kill some time because I knew I had to go up north anyway. And then I got the text saying he wasn't able to make it. I'm like, oh, man. So you guys may not know, but this isn't the first time that a guest has canceled or wasn't able to make it on the show. This may be the first time that you guys are knowing now because you see me in here dolo. But if you remember back in week 1, or actually week 2 of Talented Tuesdays, I was in here dolo because I had a guest that canceled. But that happened so long ago, and since then I've had other guests that have canceled on me a day, 2 days, 3 days in advance, or right before a show, like what just happened today. And basically, that is very stressful, and that is the worst thing that I could possibly hope for when a guest cancels like an hour to 2 hours before the show, because that means you have to find another guest. Yeah, the show must go on, like I said. So yeah, and that means you have to find another guest, and finding another guest is difficult, and it's so time consuming. One, because you have to figure out who can you go to. I have to go through all my contacts in my network to see, okay, who hasn't been on the show before, and sometimes certain people aren't the right timing to be on the show either. So you don't want to just go ask random people. Yeah, you want to fill a spot, but you don't want to just go ask random people. Some people, the timing's better. And also just that nervousness of asking a person, like, and then being inconveniencing them because you think like, wow, I don't really want to ask this person because, you know, people are busy just like I'm busy. I assume other people are busy too. So like, I don't want to inconvenience anybody by like trying to rush them and see if they can get on my show literally an hour before the show, which means that they have to stop whatever they're doing, make their arrangements, get dressed. Cause you know, people hear a show, they want to look according, plan accordingly, and they want to look the part. So, you know, that's also something that I have to put into consideration too. Like, am I inconveniencing anyone? Which I'm sure I am. That's another dilemma of mine. So basically, this episode is basically about the planning it takes to start a show, a podcast, a YouTube channel, radio show, whatever it may be, something that is consistent like weekly. The things that you have to take into consideration. Let's start with first, planning and scheduling. So like what I do, me personally, I like to plan people 4 weeks in advance. So if I look at my list right now, I have a list of people I see my past guests that I had on the show, and then I have at least 4 to 5 guests that I've locked in or confirmed dates with for the next 4 to 5 weeks. One thing I did learn, however, is you don't want to plan too far in advance, like 6, 7 weeks in advance, because then you run into the problems of people forgetting anyway, and they don't really cancel on you. They just forget, and you gotta like, they end up being busy, or like, oh, I'm sorry, I planned something else this day. And it's like, you're upset at first, but it's like, you got to understand people are busy. So I try not to plan too far in advance. So I try to stay like 4 weeks, maybe 5, if I'm trying to get things done. But the most important part about that is you definitely want to confirm with that person the week before. So after I get off the show tonight, or either tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to start confirming with the person that I have for next week to make sure that they're good. So that's one thing that is definitely important. Try not to book too far in advance, and to confirm with the people that you have on the show in the future. Confirm with them, maybe like give them a week in advance. So what is the optimum time to plan? Yeah, so like 4 to 5 weeks is the optimum time that you want to plan. And I appreciate your question, Ms. AK85. Of course, the show's going to run just a little bit differently because I'm in here by myself. So I don't have any questions for myself. I just have an agenda that I want to preach to you guys. But again, the comment section is always open. Feel free to leave comments. Feel free to ask questions. And I'll look at your questions right here. I got my phone right here so I can see your questions, and I'll tap them like that. So again, Ms. AK85, yes, you definitely want to plan like 4 to 5 weeks. I wouldn't start planning too far in advance past that 5-week period. But the key component to that is making sure you confirm with your guests a week in advance. So like I said, again, when I get off the Talented Tuesdays episode tonight, either tonight or tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to start reaching out to my guests for next week, confirming that next week is still good with them. Again, another thing that goes into play when doing something like this every week, you have the planning, you have traveling. A lot of people, like behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know what it takes to like do a show like this. I don't have a studio yet. That's something that is definitely in the plans, definitely in the making, getting a studio so I can have like one set place that people are coming to. But you know, when I first started Talented Tuesdays, and even now, I travel to a lot of the guests. Sometimes guests don't mind traveling to me, coming to where I am. But I think the farthest I've traveled so far was Boca Raton. That was like an hour and a half. But in traffic, you know, I left straight from work. It took me like 2 hours and 15 minutes to get there. So that was like the farthest that I've traveled for an episode of Talented Tuesdays. Shout out to Marlo, the actress from FAU. Yes, that was a 2-hour drive. So a lot of people don't think, a lot of people just see the show every week and they say, hey, Kai Speaks is bringing the show to us every week. He's doing a good job. I see people giving me comments, giving me positive feedback. I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for keeping me, motivated to keep doing this, for reminding me while I'm doing this. But there are a lot of things that a lot of people don't see. And one of those things being the travel, the time it takes to plan all this stuff. And another thing is, you want to invest in yourself. You know, when I first started, it was literally just myself and my one tripod and my iPhone, which I was recording for the Talented Tuesdays. Since then, I've gotten a Canon camera. I have 2-spot professional lighting. I have a professional microphone to pick it up so that the YouTube video can be clear, crystal clear. I wanted to look very professional. I'm very big on investing in myself and, you know, seeing things that I can improve on when it comes to doing the things that I'm doing. So yeah, I'm gonna take this question. Have you considered backup options? Start composing one-man conversations on a particular subject and have it as standby, like 60 seconds of wisdom. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing. What I'm doing right now. But that wasn't always the plan. I'm not even gonna take credit for that. As I got notified that Rel wasn't going to be able to make it on the show today, like I said, I was with Herson, and Herson was like, oh man, that really sucks, because we were just talking about him trying to find a guest for Woke Wednesdays, because he didn't have a guest for Woke Wednesdays for tomorrow, but he just got one today. So shout out to you. Good job on that. But yeah, so he was saying maybe you should talk about the planning and what it takes to do Talented Tuesdays every week, because a lot of people aren't familiar with the behind the scenes and all the hassle and stuff that you have to go through. Maybe it would be good just to like talk to people that are on Talented Tuesdays and just let them know these are the things that are going on. So yeah, that's an idea. That's a concept that we can always, that I'm always open to do. If you remember, if you were tuned in for the second episode of Talented Tuesdays back in January, my second guest canceled, and I ended up just talking about the development of the GoldenKey Foundation, how we got started, what Talented Tuesdays was about. And I think even since then, Talented Tuesdays even evolved in a sense where we define what a talent actually is, right? Because like a talent is defined as something that is not innate, something that everybody doesn't possess, or is not innate in everybody. So, you know, we oftentimes see things like playing basketball or being good at music and, you know, all types of things like that as talents, when there are so many other things that people are talented in. Like being able to consistently bring a show like Talented Tuesdays or Woke Wednesdays or The Breakfast Club or any of your favorite shows that you watch weekly. To be able to consistently bring those, that's a talent, and it takes a great deal of dedication that oftentimes people oversee. When someone cancels, do you have to go? When someone cancels, do you have a go-to? Oh, so yeah, I don't really have a go-to. When I get notified that someone cancels, that is something, thanks for bringing that up, because that is something that I should probably start thinking of, like backup conversations, like what are some things that we can talk about? Because, you know, after today, I won't be able to talk about this again for another episode that a guest may cancel, God forbid it. But yeah, I won't be able to cover this again because I already covered it. It'll be on YouTube. People can watch it any single time. So I won't be able to cover it again because that would be insanity. Doing the same things, expecting different results. Yeah, so I would definitely need a backup plan and some other topics to cover in case that we have like guests that cancel. But then again, I don't want to talk about too much of the topics because a lot of these topics I talk about with our guests. Like I was thinking about just talking about like the turn that rap culture was taking from being like about struggle and overcoming that struggle to now it's commercial and materialistic and everything like that. But I wanted to save that conversation to be had with Rel. And though Rel wasn't able to make it today, it's definitely in the future that I want him to be on the show. Or even if I have another rapper on the show that's a younger guy, that's a conversation that I can have with them. So again, I don't want to give up all of my topics because a lot of these conversations can be had with our guests. And darn, Herson passed me up as a Woke Wednesdays guest again. You trying to get on Woke Wednesdays, Miss AK85? But yeah, so yeah, tune in to Woke Wednesdays, you guys. Tomorrow, he has Dream Defenders on the show. I never heard of them until today, but he said they're very big on activism. So yeah, go check them out at Woke Wednesdays on YouTube, and to check out the live feed on Instagram is at Woke Wednesdays. You can check them out tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, back to what else it takes to plan a show like Talented Tuesdays every week. So we covered the planning and the scheduling. We covered the time. Like I said, invest in yourself. Oh, this backdrop is another thing that I didn't have when I first started Woke Wednesdays. But that was something that I wanted to look into getting because I thought it would be cool to have a consistent backdrop. But maybe I'm even starting to think about getting another one just so I can have options, you know, switch back and forth. If I'm feeling this way, use this one. If I'm feeling that way, use that one. So that's another thing I'm thinking about getting. I had some horror stories as far as like guests canceling. Like, I'm not gonna name no names, but this one definitely was a hurt piece. So like a couple weeks ago, I had a guest that I was super excited about having on the show. They're doing their thing, very big. A lot of people have a big following. So I was super excited to get their feedback because when it comes to having a big following and being big, it means that you're doing something right. So a lot of people can learn some things by hearing from people like that. So I was very excited about having people on the show like that. So long story short, literally, again, like hours before the show is supposed to go down, like I'm getting ready. I got the questions in my book. I'm going through the questions. I'm at work, sitting at my desk, and then as I'm getting ready to leave, I'm looking at my email, and I got an email from the manager saying that, hey, we gotta postpone this because we have scheduled a studio block, I think is what it's called. Basically, like it's a ritual that they do where it's like basically to dedicate time to locking themselves in the studio. And you know, I was upset. I was really upset because like, come on, like we organized this, we planned it in advance. Like this was like 3 weeks in advance, 4 weeks almost, that we planned this in advance. And then just for it to be hours before it cancels off of some like studio block. And I still won't understand it, but at the same time, that's something that they do. I'm not here to judge nobody. It's just, if you're watching this, without naming names, you know who you are. Just, you know, these are things that you want to think about. Take other people into consideration. Just like I'm taking you guys into consideration, that's something that you guys got to do. I just ask that in return, people take other people's time into consideration, because it's not easy. Like trying to find somebody to be a guest like hours before the show. Like I said, that is, that's a lot on not just me, but that's a lot on the person that I'm trying to ask to be on the show. Like, whoa, you want me to be on what show, and what do I need to talk about? What do I need to wear? This and that. And they only got an hour, 2 hours to really plan for that, and we got to meet up. So, you know, just think about people. You know, be courteous of other people's time, and that's all I ask from that. So, you know, it ain't no big deal now. We live and we learn, we move on. But again, take other people's time into consideration. Constantly trying to see where you can improve and see things that you can get better in. I do want to let you guys know in advance, this is season 1. We're on episode 24, I believe, of season 1. The last week of November will be the last episode of Talented Tuesdays for season 1. We're taking December off and bringing it back the first week of January 2019. So that will be the start of season 2. I think that's best because it gives me a month of planning, and I could be able to bring something totally new to you guys. Try to bring a new vibe, new energy, new guests, new ideas, a whole new everything. That's the whole reason why people have seasons and stuff like that. If anything, I could have just went straight on through and it would be the same time the Tuesdays. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you know, I like to bring people something new. I like to try new things. So I got something new for you guys coming up for season 2 in 2019. So stay tuned. Again, I appreciate everybody who was tuned in to Talented Tuesdays on a weekly basis. Even if it's not on a weekly basis, if you tuned in once here, once there, again, you're appreciated as well. And I definitely love all the questions that you guys ask my guests. You know, I only have so many questions. But when you have episodes like the one last week with Quay, the one the week before with Junior, those were some very engaging episodes. The audience was constantly feeding us questions. The guest was constantly taking those questions and really spitting some good jewels and some good knowledge with that. So, you know, all you guys are appreciated. And you know, if you see yourself on Talented Tuesdays in the future, you know, feel free to drop a submission in our DMs on Instagram at TGK_foundation. Drop a DM, drop a submission with a video of your talent, or even like a video of you talking about your talent. If it's not something like rapping, dancing, singing, or anything like that. If you're a doctor or you're an event planner, you don't have to drop a video of you doing that. You can just drop us a video talking about, basically just give us your resume in video form. Let us know that you have good presence. You can talk to people. You're a people's person. That's really all I ask for to be a guest on the show. And if you know anybody that's interested in being in the show, or you know anybody that would be good for the show, feel free to just submit them as well. You don't have to send a video, but send us their at name, and we'll go do our research and go reach out to them, see if they'll be interested in being on the show as well. As you celebrate your first year in Miami, what is your most memorable moment so far? I think my most memorable moment so far was due to connection. Okay. Okay, we have connection issues, but we're back. So I think my most memorable moment, I mean, I have so many memorable moments in Miami. You know, I love Philly, but I really fell in love with the different cultures and the different lifestyles that are down here in Miami. So it's so many memorable moments. But if I had to point out one, I mean, I got to give the credit to my baby. That's Talented Tuesdays. Talented Tuesdays is something that I brought up, and it's just like, I really enjoy every week being able to bring to a different crowd, a different guest and a different talent, and helping people see like what makes that person talented, and help people see like that they can be talented in different things as well. You just had to find your talent. And most importantly, I did this for the youth. I want the youth to be able to go back and see episodes of Talented Tuesdays, and like, you know, if they didn't find it yet, they find something that they may be interested in and something that they're really good in. And then listening to these guests on Talented Tuesdays, they find that drive and that determination to really push and really get going on what they're capable of and what they enjoy doing. That really was the sole purpose of Talented Tuesdays, not alone to help have the youth see that you can be talented in so many different things, whether it be basketball, but it not only has to just be basketball, whether it be rapping and not only just be rapping, dancing, singing, poetry, acting, being a doctor, all kinds of things, you name it, event planning. Like, these are all things that you can be good at. And all it takes is you telling yourself that you're good at it, being confident in it, and just being dedicated to your craft. Just like how I'm dedicated to bringing Talented Tuesdays to you guys every week, despite the outcomes, despite not having a guest. Like, for there's been times where a guest canceled on me, and I wanted to just be like, you know what? I might as well just like not even have the episode this week. And it's also been episodes where like I had a shoe in, and it's like it kind of like I was going through the motions, like I was only having the episode for the fact that I had to have the episode every week. You know, I hate for it to get like that. So I try to stay motivated, stay positive with every single episode, so I can bring you guys the same energy that I do for this episode, that I do for previous episodes, that I do for future episodes. I want to bring the same energy and make sure that you guys enjoy the show. Shout out God R. Basil. I see you guys just tuned in. I would love to collab with you guys as well. Also, I had an artist on the show a couple weeks back by the name Jimmy Camille, who's looking forward to collaborating with you guys and working with you guys. But yeah, so look in the DMs later. I'll be asking you guys to join in on the show, because I would definitely like to hear you guys' thoughts on how you got started with God Art Basil and everything like that. This is a short episode of Talented Tuesdays. Like I said, I'm in here dolo. I don't have questions for myself. But again, if you have any questions, I'll take any of your last minute questions. But really remember, the things that go into having a show like this every week is planning, determination. You got to stay motivated, because there are times where you can be unmotivated. There are times where things don't go your way. You just have those incidents where everything is falling apart, but you got to stay motivated and remember why you're doing this in the beginning. Every week I think about why I'm doing Talented Tuesdays, and it all comes down to the youth being able to see different talents and being able to see different people that look and sound like them, come from similar backgrounds as them, doing different things for the community, in the community, and it can soon be them in the future. So, you know, that was the whole purpose of Talented Tuesdays. And like I said, I would love to see each and every one of you guys on an episode. I would love to see you guys return every week if you can at 8 p.m. Eastern time on your Instagram live station at TGK_Foundation. Again, my name is Kai Speaks. I did say I was going to give you guys another last minute questions. But you know, I'm just talking right now. Just things been going pretty good for Talented Tuesdays. I like the direction that we're moving. Like I said, look forward. Stay tuned for what season 2 is going to bring you guys in 2019. The last episode of season 1 is going to be in November. So yeah, what inspired your commitment to the youth? I guess, and I'll actually close with this, because this is going to be probably a good closer anyway. So like I mentioned in like week 1 or week 2 of Talented Tuesdays, and I was telling you like how TGK got started up. I guess my commitment and my dedication to the youth started as with my reign as Mr. Cheney. So if you guys aren't familiar with like what Mr. Cheney is, a lot of HBCUs, it is very rich in the HBCU culture. like a king and queen, like a campus king and queen, different than homecoming king and queen, because we have those as well. But Mr. Cheney and Miss Cheney, they're like the how do I put it? Like maybe like the face of the university. Like I did a lot of I was an ambassador for the university. I traveled to different high schools. High schools came to tour with me. I've traveled to Harrisburg, the state capitol, to speak on behalf of Cheney. I've done a lot of things speaking on behalf of Cheney. One of those being a conference in New Orleans where we met a lot. That was probably my best experience being Mr. Cheney, going to that conference in New Orleans where I was able to connect and network with other kings and queens of HBCUs. Like Winston-Salem State, FAMU, Dillard University, you name it. A whole lot of HBCUs were at this conference, and I was able to connect and network with each and every one of them. Some I still stay in contact with today. So back to the commitment to the youth. So I was Mr. Cheney in 2015, 2016 at Cheney University, and part of my platform was to, one was to define the Cheney man and to redefine the Cheney man for that fact. And then another part of that platform was to increase enrollment at Cheney University as we were facing a big enrollment deficit. So to increase enrollment at Cheney University, I had to bring potential incoming freshmen to Cheney University. So I was bringing a lot of high school juniors and seniors. I brought maybe a dozen tours from 10 or more high schools to Cheney University tour in 2015, 2016. And I had a very good time doing that. I connected with a lot of young students that looked up to me, had a lot of questions for me. And then that's when I started the GoldenKey Foundation. Like towards the middle and the end of my reign as Mr. Cheney, I started the GoldenKey Foundation, and then I was using that to like continue my platform. So like as I had students coming in, I was letting them know, hey, this is something that I'm doing, the GoldenKey Foundation. Follow us on Instagram. And then it started out with me like sending them emails of like scholarships that they can apply to so they can know how to pay for college and stuff like that. And sending them daily affirmations and stuff via Instagram and everything like that. So that's how it started. And then it really took off my senior year. So in 2016, 2017, my senior year at Cheney, one of the students who I gave a tour to back last year, well, the year before, she was a freshman at Cheney, and she came up to me and was like, hey, you remember me? And I was like, your face looked familiar, but forgive me if I forget your name. And then she showed me a picture that we took back when she was on tour. And she's like, yeah, I really enjoyed the tour. You did a good job. I look up to you. And basically now I'm at Cheney. I'm like, wow, congratulations. And the fact that she was looking for me to find me, to tell me that made, that was a big deal for me, because it proved that I made a big impact on not just her, but a lot of the other students, because she wasn't even the only one. I later found 2, 3, 5 more students that I've gave a tour to that year before, and found them at Cheney the next year. And they looked up to me a lot. So that right there was like, yo, this is something that I should be doing, is like trying to bridge that gap between high school youth and college life, and even for alumni, because I realized that Cheney alumni were doing a lot of things too for Cheney to try and increase that enrollment, but there was a gap. And I was able to bridge that gap by, being a younger guy that these high school students can connect to, and bringing those students and bringing them to where they need to be, so we can all be in the same space, and then we can all share our stories, and we can all help these students get enrolled into Cheney and everything like that. So, that's how the GoldenKey Foundation was started. And that's what sparked my commitment to the youth. And then since then, I've just tried to find different things that I can implement to dedicate that time and dedicate those resources to give back to the youth. One of those things is in Richmond Heights. I might as well plug myself in now. In Southwest, or I guess you would call South Miami, in the Richmond Heights community, the GoldenKey Foundation is sponsoring our first boys youth basketball team from grades 7th through 9th grade for the summer. We're starting this basketball team. Registrations are currently going on. If you're interested in registering your child, You can register online at www.thegoldenkeyfoundation.org/registrations. You can register your child right there by printing out the registration packet. There is a $75 registration fee associated with the packet, but that's just to cover uniforms and stuff like that. And we'll make sure that we try to get them travel and everything like that. Also included, make sure you bring a copy of the birth certificate and or visa if they do not have a birth certificate. So that's pretty much all that's needed for that. The first practice starts July 30th at Eureka Park off of Southwest 119th Avenue in Miami, Florida. So again, I look forward to seeing some of your kids there as we start this summer season for basketball. Campus Kings and Queens, you were Mr. Cheney. Oh my God, that's a great story. Now we've memorialized it on Talented Tuesdays. Yep, it's now memorialized and captured on Talented Tuesdays. I hope that was an inspiring story for you guys. So yeah, that was my commitment to the youth. And like I said, we just started a basketball program for the youth in the Richmond Heights area of Miami, Florida, as well as a mentorship program that is going to be launched very soon in collaboration with Second Baptist Church in Richmond Heights area as well. So, you know, we are doing a lot of things for the youth down in this area. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I appreciate the questions, appreciate the comments. Yeah, so if you take anything out of these things, remember Talented Tuesdays, remember the things that it goes into bringing a show like this, show like Woke Wednesdays, a show like Breakfast Club. I keep naming shows like these because these are like consistent shows. You feel me? These are things that happen consistently. In order for these things to happen, there's a great deal of time and commitment that goes into the people that organize it. So these are just things to think about. And remember that it's not just magic. It doesn't just happen like that. It may be happening like magic on your phones. You know, hey, TGK is live now. Go tune in, and you tune in and Talented Tuesdays is here. But, you know, it's a lot of other things that go happen behind the scenes. Like you got people that drop out. You got people that just simply can't make it. You got a whole lot of things. Traveling 2 hours for a guest. Whole lot of things. So, again, I appreciate you guys. Again, tune in next week for Talented Tuesdays. I'm not going to spoil the guests yet. You'll see throughout the week on who the guests will be. But again, my name is Kai Speaks. This is Talented Tuesdays brought to you by the GoldenKey Foundation, developing leaders one step at a time. Be blessed.